Hey everybody, well, welcome to the second segment of the tunnels between Bakersfield and Tehachapi. Hope you were with me on the first one. If you didn't see the first one, I'll link that in the description below. But enjoy the second segment, the tunnels between Bakersfield and Tehachapi. All right, we are up at tunnel number 9. Tunnel number 9 is 428 feet long. It was last refurbished in 1916, and this, tunnel number 9, is the bottom of the Tehachapi Loop. The tracks cross over up there. I'll get another shot of this looking down on it, but I wanted to come down here in the hole, as we call it, and that is the west switch of Waylong, north switch if you insist on Union Pacific terminology. We have a flashing yellow over red. And the more I look up here, the more it appears in how my segment on what railroad signals mean, that most of these facing signals at sidings, the bottom head is generally lit red. In the old days, they didn't generally light the bottom head if the top head was lit. But anyway, I'll link that. I have part 1 and part 2. I'll link both of those in the description below. But anyway, this is the west switch at Waylong. Goes up around that cut and up around the hill. And if you look up there, you can see the tracks up above just before they go into Tunnel 10. We'll be up there in a little bit. But one of the interesting things about this location is there is our signal house. Now it is up there on top of the hill on that side of the tracks. It used to be up there where that antenna and pole are. This was the cable that went up to the house, and there was a set of wooden stairs that came down here. It was at about a 60-degree angle. They were very, very steep, made out of wood, and they'd been there forever, but towards the end of the time that we were using them, they were getting pretty shaky and sketchy. So when they redid the signal system, they moved that house up there, and so there's a little road you can drive down in here in. I walked because I didn't want to get my truck stuck down here because I don't have 4-wheel drive. I could probably get out of there just fine, but why take the chance? But anyway, Tunnel 9, and an interesting humor note on this. Back in the 80s, long before I ever had my own Harley, my late buddy, Ed Lamb, had a Harley, and his Harley's name was Maggie. And we used to jack with each other. He'd make fun of me for riding dirt bikes, and I'd make fun of him for riding Harleys. But I spray painted on the face of this tunnel about 1986. Maggie is a lesbian. And he came up here and painted over the, you can still see what it says, but you have to look closely at it. But I thought that was pretty funny. And he did too, in the end. He wasn't mad about it. But anyway, Tunnel 9, bottom end of the Tehachapi Loop. Okay, as I promised, stopped up here on top of Tunnel 9. That's where we were standing right down there before. That's looking around the loop. Used to be a big old signal bridge. Went across both main and siding over there. But there's the hill that the loop goes around. And right up there is where the trains cross over themselves. And I actually have a pretty cool video of a BNSF train going through the loop that I shot from up there. I have it on the approach to the loop before it goes in the tunnel, and I came over here and shot it going around. I'll link that video in here as well. That's a pretty cool video. But anyway, we'll head on up there to Tunnel 10. Alright, this is the west portal of tunnel number 10. This used to just be single main, and back there's the boxcar from a derailment. Just beyond that is where the east end of Waylong used to be. Then it was single track into tunnel 10 recently, a couple of years ago. They blasted out the side of that mountain and made this double track. And the new number 1 track, or the new number 2 track, goes around that tunnel. Sounds like we got a little added extra goodie. I'm not going to shoot this whole train because this video is already going to be a heck of a lot longer, as usual, than I envisioned it being. Got a little train coming up, Union Pacific. What the heck is this? Sorry. Coming out of Tunnel 9, down where we just were. And be going around the loop. As I said, I have videos of trains going on the loop. I actually have a couple of them, I think, but whatever I have, I'll link in the description below. Another interesting point is now the end of this control point is down there where those signals are. The signal bridge used to be right about where the train is coming out. Right there was the end of the control point. There was a big signal bridge there all the way across the tracks. Now it's just two modern color light signals. All right, okay, that is a Union Pacific train going southbound or eastbound up the hill around Tehachapi Loop. I didn't actually plan on shooting the east portal of Tunnel 10 or this side of the cut. Figured the one I shot with the train would be good enough, but I got stuck behind that train. He's got the crossing blocked over there where the little cut there is. That's where the east end of the west end of Marcel used to be. And so anyway, that is the east portal of Tunnel 10, 307 feet long, and the new cut that they ran the new number 2 track. Create double track from West Waylong to East Marcel. Okay, we have moved up a little bit past Tunnel 10. That is Tunnel 10 right there, and the cut that goes alongside it for the number 2 track. There is no definitive record that I can find anywhere as far as to where the mileposts of any of the tunnels on a mountain were actually, but certainly not the ones that are gone, which would be the next 3, Tunnel 11, 12, and 13. There's some discussion, differences in opinion about where they were. All I can find in the source material I have is the lengths of the tunnel, and it says Tunnel 11 was 158 feet long, which would make that cut right there about the right length. It's the right height for a tunnel, and I just know that tunnels 11 and 12 were in close proximity to each other. The material I have says that Tunnel 12 was 756 feet long. And I don't know. I think Tunnel 12 was right there, and that in editing, the 1 got turned into a 7 somehow, because between here and Tunnel, I know where Tunnel 13 was, but between here and there are no places that I can see where a tunnel over 700 feet would have been necessitated. I believe that it's an error in the material I have, and that would have been where Tunnel 12 was. There again, the height is right, the length is about right. These two cuts are almost exactly the same size, and this is where, right there where those two poles are, is about where the house for the west end of Marcel used to be before they made this double track and put this new track in here a couple of years ago. And I don't know when they put the end of Marcel in there. I don't know when they did that, but to do that they would certainly have had to have gotten rid of a tunnel if it was there. But anyway, it's my belief and opinion that this is actually where Tunnel 12 was. Okay, this is a really cool place, I think, as far as the story of where something used to be. As you can see now, there is the main line right there, going around that corner. See that cut up towards Tunnel 14. Tunnel 13, this is where a major line change was made. Again, I don't know when it was made, but the track used to come around that curve right there, that tree is in center frame and come this way. This is the old signal line, and up there is the old Western Union line. They were always on opposite sides of the track. That came around through here. You can see the side of the hill was cut away there, and the tracks went from over there right around this corner and over this way. And we'll walk up to where the tunnel was and see where the portal of that tunnel used to be, tunnel 13. Walked up here a little further. You can see there's the old Western Union pole. It's been cut down there. You can see where the roadbed was cut through here. Came right up this way. And started curving to the left. Sorry for the wigglies. Trying to watch where I'm going and not what I'm shooting. And that, you can see that area right there. It's kind of concave on the side of the hill there. That is where the portal, the west portal of Tunnel 13 was. And as you can see, there's the signal line over there. The Western Union poles are all gone now, but they were over on the other side. And that was the west portal of Tunnel 13. Bill Stocco actually brought me up here and showed me this many, many years ago. And he said when they were building this railroad, he knew all about the history of this. There was actually a small Chinese camp back here, and he found opium pipes and a couple of other old artifacts from when they were building this thing. But anyway, that was the west portal of Tunnel 13. Okay, this is where the east portal of Tunnel 13 was. Tunnel 13 was 576 feet long, and came through here. When Bill brought me up here originally, I thought, boy, there's much room up here, but you can obviously tell that is not the natural aspect of those hills. And he said they filled this all over with dirt when they took it out. It was a timberline tunnel. And the reason that they had all these curves in here originally, coming out, snaking through here and back out, the main line is over there on the other side of those filled dirt stuff there. But he said the reason they did all that was they were trying to keep the grade below 2.5%. And as the locomotives became bigger and more powerful, they were having trouble with the curves, with the larger locomotives, wear the rail out. And so with the larger locomotives, they were able to increase the grade, straighten out the track, get rid of some of these sharp curves. And right in this area, which we'll go there in a minute, it doesn't appear that getting rid of tunnels or getting rid of curves or increasing grades had anything to do with tunnels 11 and 12, but that was certainly the case here. Okay, I'm not going to get too long-winded about this. I don't want to make this video any longer than it needs to be, but this is about where the tracks would have emerged out of the cut from Tunnel 13, which is right over in those trees. Got to remember that none of this stuff was here 100 years ago. This was all, the side of that hill came down right here. You can see this is all fill right here too, and you can see where the cut was up there. The tracks would have came out right along the edge of this, where this cut is somewhere, and curved out across there out onto that fill. The edge of this whole hill was probably still here where the tracks are, and it would have went out there and curved back around into Tunnel 14. And they made the line change. They just came in and knocked the rest of this hill out, elevated the tracks. This grade right here, it's kind of hard to get a perspective of how steep this is, but from about a half a mile back that way towards Bakersfield up to the climb between 14 and 17, the tunnels up that way, the grade increases from about 2.6% to 3.2%. It's really steep. Standard gauge railroads don't typically go over 3%, but this one does. And I thought for a while that that's where Tunnel 13 was, and that cut back there, but as we've already found out, the distances can be wrong, the lengths of the tunnels, but that one, according to the resource material I have, was 576 feet long, and that cut wouldn't, on the inside of that cut's only a couple hundred feet, and in the center of it's almost all decomposed granite, just kind of like hard dirt. They wouldn't have supported a tunnel. They wouldn't have bored through that, so that's why they just punched it out when they decided to make the line change. And anyway, little history of Tunnel 13. Okay, we are at the west portal of tunnel number 14. Tunnel number 14 is 513 feet long, and as you can see, it too has two dates on it: 1876 when it was first built, and 1921 when it was rebuilt. Again, these tunnels were mostly timbered, and that was probably the case with this one. And some of them are bored through solid rock, and the rock supported itself, and I know that some of them, they went ahead and cemented those in later on, but I don't know if this is one of those. But anyway, 1876 and 1921, Tunnel 14. And for those of you who are familiar with driving up 58, there's 58 right there. These are the tunnels you can see just before you get to Tehachapi, just above the freeway. Pretty popular site coming out of 17 up there, Tunnel 17. These tunnels are from Tunnel 14 to Tunnel 17 is only about a mile. And by Tunnel 17, there's a place you can pull over on the freeway. You see a lot of people pulled over there getting pictures of trains coming out of Tunnel 17, which we'll get to shortly. When I first conceived this video, actually I didn't conceive this video, my wife did. She said she thought it'd be pretty cool to do something about all the tunnels up here. So Jennifer, props to you for doing this. But when I first conceived of how I was going to do it, I thought I'd get a train entering or leaving each of the tunnels, and I realized that that would take forever to be there at each tunnel when there was a train coming or going, and it would also make the video be 3 hours long with watching trains go by. But I'm not going to film all of this train going by. I just thought I'd catch him coming out of 14, going into 15. Chugging right on up the hill. BNSF. Trains do have to honk their horns as they enter tunnels. Never know when somebody might be working in one. It's not a good idea to work in tunnel without on-track protection, positive on-track protection, but I suppose people still do it. Anyway, there he is going into 15. Yeah, I didn't shoot that whole train going by because you would have fallen asleep. This is one of they're starting to run extremely long trains. Most of them won't fit. And a lot of the sidings, and there that train goes into Tunnel 15, the west portal of Tunnel 15, which is 330 feet long. And Anyway, as I was saying, they're starting to run these trains extremely long. I don't know what BNSF calls their plan. Union Pacific calls theirs the 2020 plan. They're talking about, from what I hear, trains like 3 miles long. Before I get out of here, one more little interesting historical note about Tunnel 15. This is the west portal of Tunnel 15. In 1915, this tunnel, which was lined with timber at the time, caught on fire. And both portals collapsed and part of the middle of it collapsed. They had to shut the tunnel down to repair it. And while they were doing that, they built a trestle right there where the outcropping of rocks is. You can see how it's shaved off. There's a little, you can still see the old road bed around, coming around the side of it there. And came right across here. I've seen pictures of it. It looked pretty sketchy. And it went right on down there to connect to the tracks down beyond that pole. But yeah, interesting historical stuff. Okay, there is the east portal, Tunnel 16. It even has Tunnel 16 stamped in the concrete up there. Funny that these ones have no dates like the ones down below. None of these ones further up the hill do. And Tunnel 16 is 259 feet long, and there is Tunnel 17. It also has a little cement stamp of its number, but it has a date of 1907. I think that's what that says. Yeah. But as you can see, Tunnel 16 and Tunnel 17 are only a few hundred feet apart, and Tunnel 16 and Tunnel 17 are both 259 feet long. Same on either end. All right, go around to the end of Tunnel 17 and tie this up. All right, well, here we are at the east portal of Tunnel 17. We'll bring to a conclusion the tour of all the tunnels between Bakersfield and Tehachapi, even the ones that aren't there anymore. I hope you all enjoyed it. As usual, it was fun to do it. And as usual, if you have any comments, questions, ideas, leave them in the comments below. And shoot me an email if you like. And I will link some of the other videos of trains going through these areas in the description below. And I hope you check those out. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see y'all later.